Okay, welcome everyone. So happy we're all here, and of course, wonderful to have return visit. One of Davazanpo, good friend, longtime friend. And welcome to welcome to right. The Koisar. Welcome to, especially to our Ukrainian brothers and sisters, both here in the room and through Zoom. With you in heart and soul. So, I wanted to give a brief introduction, and Kempo wants to say hello. We're just exceedingly happy that Zhuravka is able to come back, and with Yarek, Dharma brothers, Vajra brothers, sister. Both have completed the traditional 3-year retreat under Drikung Kagyu, and we have lots of the personal experience with them, both on the mat and off. But I think it's just so critically important. If you think about it, Buddha's message is so radical that there is an end to suffering and that all sentient beings can be liberated. I mean, it's so fantastic that it doesn't really register with it. We live in a culture with so much marketing that lots goes in one ear and out the other. But if you believe, like in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, that the practices of the Bodhisattva are what lead to this great liberation and enlightenment itself, then these practices are extremely important. And how is that transmitted? I am continually humbled at my own really unsought and seemingly to me unearned blessings in this life. To have stumbled across this great lineage, and then after it was somehow established in my mind, to have met Gar Rinpoche. So we have these examples of how compassion, skillful means, is actually done. Not just the emotional compassion that we know in the West, but deep skillfulness. And so Gar Rinpoche, through your interactions, he's just constantly giving it away, empowering people. And we've experienced that here, all of us at White Lotus, this humble little place in a humble little American city, has been empowered. And so we end up with Kempo here and, people that can have confidence and can learn. And so too with teachers, how is it transmitted? And so Gar Rinpoche, how remarkably, has established this 3-year retreat, and both Yarek and Zhuravka have completed that. Zhuravka additionally with some additional practice, I believe. And so now when, samsara rears its ugly head, like in Ukraine, there's the Dharma there because of Gar Rinpoche. And so too for us, how are these teachings transmitted? Gar Rinpoche has told us, here, you need to do the Vajrakalaya practice here. Learn the instruments, learn the whole thing. You have to do it without Tibetans. And that's no slam on the Tibetans. He's transmitting this Dharma, this precious teachings that in the end, is the only true refuge. Okay, so that's enough of Frank's prattle this morning. Kempo, if you would like to just say hello for us.
Good morning. Tashi Dele, Special Lama Davasamula, and welcome to White Lotus today. I'm so happy you being here. And also I know many of the people very interesting to listen your teaching. So I think so many of you know about her. I have heard he was here 2 or 3 times already, and also especially, regardless he was here or not, but most important things. So today and tomorrow, 2 days, listen, teaching is very important. So I have heard he already done 3 years retreat. That is amazing and wonderful because he has lots of experience about meditation. So therefore, all our sanghas today have to know great opportunity to listen teaching from her. And here says really profound meaning, the trophic information of the habitual tendencies into the path to liberation. This is very, very profound meaning. Makes sense. Everybody saw the email, right? So we need these things only. We need to change the mind or transform into the liberation way. Right? Very difficult to abandon the habitual of the tendencies. This is a sidle emotion, negative emotions. Right? So therefore, us here says trophic and listen, and then only not enough to listen. From tomorrow or from today, you have to meditate on that topic, and then that will help you. If you listen only today, tomorrow already forget, and then you waste time. So therefore, many of the people these days very interested to meditate or learning about meditation. So meditation, if whatever you have listened or heard, immediately you have to meditate on that topic. And then here says, how to say, transformation, and transform your mind. Real meaning why we practice Buddhism, we have to change our attitude, right? All the negative thoughts, attitude, change to positive thoughts. That is through only meditation or practice. So therefore today is a very wonderful opportunity to listen teaching carefully. And also here says the distraction and the meditation, very important. So very, very bad enemy is distraction. When you're going to meditate and all the thoughts come over there, sometimes the Kadamba Master says, if you always forgetting something, you should go to meditate, you will remember. That's something really meaning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So many uncountable thoughts comes and goes. That means we have to make more stable mind through the meditation. Okay? So therefore, today really wonderful, how to say, occasion and great opportunity to listen teaching and keep the mind, whatever you have heard from her today and tomorrow. So that really helps. That's it. Thank you very much again for you.
Thank you, Kempo.
Thank you, Kampala. Thank you for inviting me here, Kampala, and greeting Frank and everyone in White Lotus. And thanks for all your support that we received since beginning of the springs. Thank you from all our Ukrainian Sangha for your for all kind of support that you gave us, and yeah, you were helping us with money, you were helping us with just with mental support, with psychological support, like being in contact with us all the time, asking us questions, how is everyone doing, and it's really, really big deal for us. And you cannot imagine how many people in Ukraine actually were able to give up fear because of your support, how many people were able and still are helping every day from our Sangha, from not our Sangha, because of you, because American Sangha, because Western Sangha, because Sangha from all over the world. And we really, really, I cannot even express the level of our gratitude toward all of you. And that's actually example of real connection. This is like real Vajra family, and we see how it manifests. It's very, very precious to us, and so we're so happy to be here.
I might add that there are quite a few Ukrainians on Zoom with us today too.
Доброго дня, українська Сангха. Чи ви розумієте англійську, чи не ви не розумієте? Але я дуже рада, що ви доєдналися, і маю надію, що ці вчення принесуть вам користь. I'm just greeting Ukrainian Sangha, whether they speak English or do not speak English. I still hope the teaching will be of benefit. And so, yeah, today, as Kampola mentioned, this is a very important topic, and many people have these questions about these topics, and like all teachings are actually speaking about how to transform mind, but still questions arise. I don't have like such education as Kampola has. So I primarily teach from my own experience. So if I do not follow some scholar lines, forgive me, please, because I haven't been trained in that. But I'll do, and if I do make mistake, please raise your hand and tell like that you disagree. But I just speaking from my own experience, and I also hope it will take the turn into discussion, because actually the best way to for you to receive information, it's actually like when you receive it in your mind, when you actually understand it, so you can apply it in your life, and that's possible when you ask questions and we actually communicate directly with you.
That's really great that he saying right now. So if there are any wrong and mistake, hand it up. This is Buddhist perspective. Buddha mentioned like that. Whatever I did mistake wrong, please find out that. Please show me again. I will accept.
Mm.
Yeah, fine. This is a fun. Yeah, it's okay. I have enough.
Okay. So before I start my instructions, please let's read opening prayers. There is a reason why we actually do that. It's open. It helps us to open our mind, to cultivate altruistic motivation, and like lessen grasp of ego.
All right. Thank you very much for enjoying this teaching and enjoying.
Thank you. Thank you for your welcoming.
Okay. In the prayer book, page 5. With all enemies who hate me, hinderers who harm me, and those who obstruct my liberation and omniscience foremost. May all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness, be free of suffering, and quickly attain precious, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. With all enemies who hate me, hinderers who harm me, and those who obstruct my liberation and omniscience foremost. May all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness, be free of suffering, and quickly attain precious, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. With all enemies who hate me, hinderers who harm me, and those who obstruct my liberation and omniscience foremost. May all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness, be free of suffering, and quickly attain precious, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. To this end I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue till Buddhahood. I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue until death. I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue from today until tomorrow at this time. All sentient beings equal to the ends of space take refuge in the nature of all the body, speech, minds, qualities, and activities of those thus gone in the 10 directions and 3 times, the wellspring of the 84,000 heaps of Dharma, the sovereign of all the noble Sanghas, the glorious and holy kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of deities in the mandala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy Dharmas. We take refuge in the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, Dharma protectors and guardians with the wisdom eye. We take refuge in the glorious and holy kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of deities in the mandala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy Dharmas. We take refuge in the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, Dharma protectors and guardians with the wisdom eye. We take refuge in the glorious and holy kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of deities in the mandala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy Dharmas. We take refuge in the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, Dharma protectors and guardians with the wisdom eye. Till I reach the heart of awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha's soul. In the Dharma, the assembly of Bodhisattvas too, I take refuge. Just as all Sanghatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening, and in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell. Just so for the benefit of beings, I too bring to birth awakened mind. And in each and every training thus, step by step I'll raise myself like so. Till I reach the heart of awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha's soul. In the Dharma and assembly of Bodhisattvas too, I take refuge. Just as all Sanghatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening, and in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell. Just so for the benefit of beings, I too bring to birth awakened mind. And in each and every training thus, step by step, I'll train myself like so. Till I reach the heart of awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha's soul. In the Dharma and assembly of Bodhisattvas too, I take refuge. Just as all Sanghatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening, and in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell. Just so for the benefit of beings, I too bring to birth awakened mind. And in each and every training thus, step by step, I'll train myself like so. In the Buddha, Dharma, and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening. By the merit of my deeds like generosity, may I achieve Buddhahood for beings' benefit. In the Buddha, Dharma, and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening. By the merit of my deeds like generosity, may I achieve Buddhahood for beings' benefit. In the Buddha, Dharma, and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening. By the merit of my deeds like generosity, may I achieve Buddhahood for beings' benefit. May all Mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion to near and far. May all Mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion to near and far. May all Mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion to near and far. By prostrating, offering, and confessing thus, by rejoicing, urging, supplicating too, any little virtue that I have amassed, all I dedicate for full awakening. This ground of fragrant water, flowers strewn, is adorned by Meru, four lands, and by sun and moon. Seeing this to be a Buddha feel, I offer it. May all beings experience this utterly pure land. Om Guru Ratna Mandala Pudza Mega Samudra Saparana Samaye. As befits the different wishes of sentient beings and their intellects, turn the Dharma wheel of vehicles great and small and common. Thus we pray.
Okay, so today we're talking about habitual tendencies and transformation of habitual tendencies in our daily life. So, of course, first it's important to understand what is habitual tendency, and then why actually we want to transform it, because there is no point of transformation if we don't really understand or if we don't really wish to transform them, and then application methods to transform habitual tendencies. So basically all teachings in all Buddhist teachings talking about transformation of mind. We use different methods, different practices, in starting from cultivation of bodhicitta, devotion, 6 paramitas, yidam yoga, Mahamudra practice, Dzogchen practice. All these practices are about transformation of our own mind. So basically, any practice that we perform is to transform our mind, which means any practice should take place in our own mind. So if we only apply outer aspects of practice, for example, we sit down and we try to concentrate on whatever sadhana we practice, without actually understanding that it should take a place in our mind. It just the benefits, there will still be benefit because it makes imprint in our mind, but we will not receive full benefit. Like it will not ripen as soon as if we would bring practice into our mind. So basically, all practice should take a place in our mind, and the point why actually it should take place in our mind, because all practices are about transformation our mind, our view, our perception, and our perception is based on habitual tendencies. So karma is habitual tendency. Samsara is about habitual tendencies. So basically, transformation of habitual tendencies is transformation of our mind, no matter what kind of method, what kind of skillful means we are applying. So, and what is a habitual tendency? Habitual tendency is a program that runs in our mind, which dictates what kind of reaction will we have to whatever appears in our mind. So we speak in Kunduzampa prayer, we speak there are two paths and two fruitions. So basically one path is through recognition of whatever is appear, that it's inseparable from our mind. Another path is through non-recognition. So the system, or like the mechanism of appearance is still the same. It's just about whether we recognize it or we don't recognize it. And when we don't recognize it, that sets up the path to samsara, to habitual tendencies, which are the result of non-recognition. So if we actually can recognize whatever appears in our mind is inseparable in our mind, if we are in state of Mahamudra, then habitual tendencies do not form. But when we speak about samsara, samsara is a state of our mind. Samsara is not about place where we live, about situation where we are. It can be result which conditioned by samsaric perception of our mind, but real samsara takes root in our mind. When we speak about chain of samsara, the tied us to suffering, we speak about our samsaric perception, our own mind. And so basically, to understand what is habitual tendency, what is karmic habitual tendency, we can look at any reaction which we have to any situation, to any thought, to any conditions that arise, any reaction which appears without awareness. So in our life, and we actually take our life as the path. As we speak, our own mind contains, our own mind is samsara, or samsara is our own mind. That path to liberation also lies in our mind, and liberation also in our Buddha mind. So basically everything is in our mind. The causes of samsara, samsara itself, path to liberation, and fruit of liberation is in our mind. So whenever we have any situation, whenever we have any emotional reaction, I speak about emotions because it's easier to understand, easier to perceive. For example, we are in unpleasant situation and we have like anger which arising. So this anger arising as we also as a habit, like this reaction, arise as a habit which has been formed before when we had previous reaction which was similar. For example, whenever we experience any situation and we have some reaction, next time when we experience similar situation, we have tendency to experience similar reaction. So it's I will try to, like, in course of these 2 days, I will try to explain it from different points of view. But you all know that, for example, there are, people or situations to which you always have similar reactions. If you once had unpleasant situation with someone, like let's say with your neighbor, anytime you see your neighbor, next time you have similar reaction. Like you don't even understand maybe why you have similar reaction. Like once you have unpleasant experience with something or with someone, next time when this when you see this person, or when you experience this situation, or when you just remember about this person or situation, you have tendency to have same emotion. So you have tendency to have same reaction. That's habitual tendency, this reaction. So this is one small part we're talking about. So, and anytime you will have similar situation, you will have tendency to have same reaction. And we're speaking about like one situation. But like our entire life is comprised of similar habitual tendencies. Every morning you wake up, for example, you have tendency to have the same thoughts. Every time you get out of your bed, you have tendency have this similar kind of reaction. You have your like daily plan, you know, you have to take kids to school, or you have to go to work, or you have to reply to email, and you already have some reaction, pleasant or unpleasant. So, and you have no awareness how this reaction appeared. It just appears as a result of that memory, of that previous situation, of that previous reaction. And now, every time you have similar reaction, every time you have reaction, any kind of reaction, you make imprint in your mind. So you already have this imprint, and this imprint is habitual tendency. This imprint will dictate what kind of reaction you will have to similar situation. That's how it's work. And also how it works, like before I was explaining, like with example. For example, if we have like field, and for example we have rain, or we have like river flowing into that field, and it creates grooves, trenches. So somewhere it creates trench, somewhere it does not create trench. So trench is created. So anytime rain falls again, it has tendency for water to run in the same trench. So this is kind of things that happening with how our imprints in our mind work. So we have this kind of trench, and whenever we have some experience, so our prana has tendency to flow in certain directions. When we speak about channels, like subtle channels in our body, what's happening? We speak always about bringing prana into central channel, and then we can experience nature of our mind. We have so many, like thousands, hundreds of thousands channels in our body, in our subtle body. So whenever prana goes to certain channel, that's it's influence our perception. And whenever we have certain imprint in our mind, the prana has tendency to travel to certain channels. And there's this habitual tendency for prana to flow in certain direction again and again and again. And we again and again and again, we have certain perception. So whenever we have imprints in our mind, it also forces prana to flow in certain direction. And flowing of prana makes the flowing of that prana creates a tendency to certain perception, and that perception also creates new imprints again and again and again. So that's why we speak about 6 yogas or punaropa, yeah? It's reversing of flow of that energy and bringing it its central channel. So that's another way to purify our karmic tendencies. But it's all like really interconnected. Our unconscious reactions make imprints in our mind. We have tendencies to have the same reactions, which makes this imprint deeper. So, and it's also dictates where our prana flows. So as long as we do not have awareness, we will have these programs which will control our reactions in our life, which we will speak whatever appears in samsaric mind, whatever reaction has samsaric mind, even if it's good emotion, good reaction, sooner or later it will bring to suffering. Anything which appears in mind, which does not have a seat of awareness, or like which we are not aware of, if we just let it run its course, sooner or later it brings suffering. And you actually don't need teachings about, because if you see, like if you look at your own life, like anything, even if you had like good experience, you have good experience, but somehow it has tendency to contaminate and bring suffering. And this happens because ego grasping, but ego grasping depends on absence of awareness. So whenever there is no awareness, there is ego grasping. And for example, if we take Kuntuzangpo prayer, we speak at the beginning, from the nature of mind, arising, manifestation arising. If there is no recognition, what happens at the beginning is, if there is no awareness, if there is no recognition, it's like fading away. It's like we like fading away. It's like we lose. It's like we lose presence for some times, and when there is this like fading away, consciousness or like our mind get confused, get lost. So there is like this feeling, we speak about fear, but it's not really fear, it's very subtle level of fear. It's like confusion of like feeling that you're lost. And because there is no recognition, right away whatever appears, we perceive it as something it is separate from us. So, and there is this like subtle fear or like subtle confusion and wish to belong somewhere. So this is ego, which feels very confused. As long as there is no recognition, so we are losing this presence. We're losing this belonging to the nature of mind. And when it's lost, we want to gain it back. But because it's already dualistic perception, there is ego wants to get it back, but there is no way ego can get it back because it's already not nature of mind. So ego looks for this stability in whatever appears as duality. And when ego looks at, ego tries to grasp for whatever arises. But what is really grasping? It's like ego looks for feeling of belonging, and so we have reaction to whatever appears. And first reaction, whether we like it or not. So attachment or aversion. That's how ego compensates. That's how ego finds the feeling of belonging. Like if ego doesn't have reaction to whatever appears, if ego doesn't have this reaction of awareness, of attachment, so there is this feeling of being lost. So, but of course, because ego cannot, it's different dimension. It's already dualistic perception. So there is in dualistic perception, there is no recognition of the nature of mind. Ego does not recognize that it arose from the nature of mind. So that what is needed is awareness, recognition. So it's by mistake it tries to place, to find stability in whatever it appears. So and you can look, whenever something appears in your perception, starting from outer objects, or like any thoughts appears in your mind, like first reaction, whether I like it or not. You might not think I like it or not, but it's like pleasant or unpleasant. I want it or I don't want it. In the morning when you wake up and you think, I have to read 100 emails. So there is like immediately this feeling, pleasant or unpleasant, like. So and anything like so, which like as soon as you wake up, the first thought or like it's might not be necessary even arise as a concrete thought. There's already feeling. I woke up and I already have this feeling. It's good or like I feel pleasant, it's pleasant or it's unpleasant that I woke up, and it's already you have this feeling because you had karmic like tendency to have this feeling because yesterday you woke up in good mood or in bad mood, and today you just carry on the same kind of feeling. So when I speak about depression, what is depression? This is habitual tendency to be unhappy. So we have tendency again and again bring the same thoughts, and it's when we speak about I spoke about before, like whatever arises in your mind, if it is pleasant thought, if it's not recognized, sooner or later it's bring you suffering. Why? Because towards this pleasant thought, ego starts to have attitude, reaction, and ego tries to find comfort in whatever appears in your mind. And so like even if you love somebody, or if you got wonderful gift like that you dreamed about for a long time, but like say you might enjoy it for whatever day, 2 or month, but then you start to find defects. There is something that you don't like about it, and sooner or later you concentrate on this more and more and more and more. And so at the end, the things that you enjoyed might even like cause you more suffering that you that happiness that you received before. So and this happening because when anything that appears in your mind, no matter how pleasant it is, when it's not recognized, when there is no awareness, so the ego will have tendency to look for comfort for itself in all aspects of this concept, and sooner or later, when we speak about samsara, is a cause of suffering. Samsara brings to suffering because absence of awareness will gradually brings whatever appears to suffering. That's how samsara, that's why we call it samsara. And samsara based, the base of samsara is absence of recognition, absence of awareness. So that's why if we want to transform samsara, if we want to be free from samsara, we need to recognize what is actually causing that samsara, what is actually makes this samsara alive. And that's our habitual tendencies. And in order to work with your own habitual tendencies, you actually need to recognize your own habitual tendencies in your own life. And it's very easy because we all build from habitual tendencies. Everything that we do, everything that you can take any reaction to anything, and that's habitual tendency. So habitual tendency is a program that runs our reactions for as long as we don't have mindfulness, as long as we don't have awareness. And if you contemplate on any habit that you have, I'm talking about reactions, habitual reactions to anything that appears in your mind. So then you can see how it progresses or regresses into suffering. And when you see it, you actually really want to be free from it. So transformation of our mind is transformation of that unconscious program. We are like machines. We are machines because we, like our life, our perception is run by this program, which built on absence of awareness. And that's why Rinpoche and all teachings, all Buddhist teachings speak about awareness. So we have to recognize these habits in order to transform them. And there are different levels of transformation, of course. When we speak about practice of Mahamudra, so then we just look in our mind, whatever appears, we just, when we're able to be in the state of non-duality, then liberation happens on its own. It's naturally. So when we are in dualistic state of mind, there are different methods to free ourselves from that pattern. So we speak about, first we speak about such things like as devotion to Guru and as refuge we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And that's the meaning of that is that we actually remind ourselves that nature of our mind is enlightened. It is Buddha. And whatever appears in our mind, it can be used as a path to liberation. So, and then we cultivate bodhicitta. Why cultivation of bodhicitta is so important? Because this is like absolutely necessary skillful means which help us to lessen our habitual tendencies, which helps actually to dissolve ego. Whenever we think about benefit of others, at that very moment our ego dissolves. So like it might happen for 1 second. So, but whenever our mind or whenever our intention, whenever we have pure intention to help others, at that moment our ego dissolves. That's why it is so important to cultivate altruistic motivation again and again and again. And we speak about different levels of path. We speak about people who practice Buddhism because they want liberation for themselves. We speak about people who practice because they want others to help to be liberated, Bodhisattva path. And we speak about speed, like which those paths offer. When we practice for our own liberation, we practice out of fear because we don't want to experience suffering of lower realms. Yeah, we want our own happiness. And we apply methods like 6 paramitas, for example. We practice them in order to help us to change these habitual tendencies, understanding that actually that's a cause of suffering. When we practice Bodhisattva way, it has much bigger potential, or like this path is very fast, because when we practice with pure intention to help others, immediately our ego starts to dissolve. And when our ego dissolves, we can experience nature of mind right away. Because whenever ego dissolves, we are open to this experience of Buddha nature, Buddha nature. So all these things which are included in daily practice, they are not just for us to read. They actually make very strong effect to our practice. Like they transform our mind depending on how sincere you are in your prayers. And when we speak about cultivating altruistic intention again and again and again, not necessarily even repeating the words of prayers with your own words. So that makes strong imprint in your mind. We speak. Buddhist teaching says that in order to experience nature of mind, we need lots of merit. And what is merit? Merit is, in reality, merit is ability to give up your ego. So we speak about merit. It's not like riches, that you accumulate. Also, we speak about accumulation of merit. But this is just words which explain the level of your ego grasping. The 6 parameters and other methods that help you to eliminate your own ego. So this is like proportional to level of merit. And so we speak bigger your merit is, less your ego is. And less your ego is, the more chance that you experience nature of mind. So that's how it works. It's not that we accumulate merit for ourselves and then boom, we experience nature of mind. So this all works like together. It's all independent. We speak about the mind is like a diamond. Like diamond has different facets. Yeah. And when we speak about qualities of mind, so we speak like from different sides. It's like we're talking about different facets of enlightened mind. And actually, there are so many methods which can bring us to this experience. It's not necessarily that we have to learn all the practices, all the methods, receive all the empowerments. Each of them is sufficient for realizing nature of mind. Each method, like if you just practice one method, it's sufficient. As long as you understand this method, as you understand how to practice this method in your own mind. And each method combines bodhicitta and devotion to the lineage of enlightened masters, to your root guru, so pure intention, discipline. So each method has this. And as long as we understand all of that, like using one method can bring us to enlightenment. Any questions?
The awareness that we're supposed to be having is the awareness that the object. Sorry. Lamala. Is it not working? There we are. Hello. Okay. There we go. Lamala. I was wondering when you're saying that when we need to be aware. Is the awareness that we're supposed to have, is that the object isn't separate from us? Is it, and we're not separate from it? Could you maybe give some more, perhaps, more examples of the awareness that I'm supposed to be holding in my mind all day long to crush my ego with?
That's an excellent question. Really, this is very important because we speak about awareness a lot. We hear like, you need to cultivate awareness. Like I remember first time when I heard about that I need to cultivate awareness, practice awareness. I would say like yes, but I honestly I had no clue, and I was so shy to ask like what exactly do I need in order to cultivate awareness. And actually for a very long time I thought I really understand it, but I really did not understand. So only until my first retreat, first 100-day retreat, I really did not understand what does it mean to cultivate awareness. Also I thought I understand. So such ignorance. So sometimes we may experience like moments of awareness in presence of high lamas like Garchen Rinpoche, yeah, because of his realization, which is in his presence, we have such a devotion and love, and that's awareness he's talking about. Yeah, I understand what awareness is, but how actually would actually do, I don't understand. Yeah, so there are different levels of awareness, and I started to understand it when I started to practice shamatha, because at the beginning we are not when we are not trained in concentration. Our mind is running back and forth. Like whatever appears, we grasp for this thought, and when I speak grasp about grasping to thoughts, what happens? Some thoughts arising, and we think on the base of this thought, next thought, and emotion, and then again thoughts, and so it's just going like in chain, and there is no awareness. We are not aware what we are actually thinking of or experience until we have like strong emotion. But I will explain awareness on the base of practice of shamatha. For example, when we speak about practicing of shamatha, we speak about, just like very simple, very fast, we speak about 9 modes of stillness. Yeah, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but for example, at the beginning, we concentrate on the object. We take outer or inner object and we concentrate on object. And when we try to concentrate on object, we notice that our concentration is so poor that as soon as we as soon as we look at the object, we completely forget about object. And we may look at this object for next half an hour or an hour, but our mind is somewhere else. We're thinking about anything else. And by the end of session, we just remember, oh, that's what we're doing. We were like, actually, we are practicing shamatha. Even we are not, and then we say ourselves, okay, like for last 10 years, I was practicing shamatha. And, but really, it was not really shamatha. So because we're just looking, gazing at the object, sitting still, it does not mean that we are practicing shamatha. So what's happening? And actually that's a point where many people get discouraged. They say, okay, this is not for me, meditation is not for me, I don't know. And there is Lama sitting on a throne, they're very fortunate, they're tulkus, so that's why they can meditate. I cannot meditate. But that's wrong, because we need to understand how to apply these different stages. For example, at the beginning, we have tendency to forget about object right away. So we are not talking about even awareness right now. This is just about remembering. So the other way is like we place our gaze. And right now, why we are using the object, why we are sitting still, we try to isolate ourselves from anything that might distract us. Yeah, so this is just methods which help us to concentrate our mind on practice. So we sit still, we place object in front of us. So this is kind of just object which this is just skillful means which help us to not to forget. And although we look at it, we forget, but because we keep our gaze on an object, sooner or later our mind goes back to our object and we remember, oh, okay, so I'm practicing shamatha and I'm looking. And sometimes it's not even concentration yet. I'm looking at the object and I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at the object, this is object. So this is not shamatha yet, but this is just kind of method to help us to remember. First, we need to make this imprint in our mind, this habit to remember. So, and it takes time, and it's okay if we forget. It's okay if we forget, but we just bring the mind back to object again and again and again. And here is also a trick, because if we don't have enough effort, we might sit for 45 minutes and we don't feel any progress. And we get discouraged also because like I'm practicing entire week and like I remember at the beginning, I remember at the end, but then my mind wanders. So what I actually was doing, I was using my own skillful means. So I was using like alarm clocks, which would ring every 2 minutes, and every 2 minutes I would remember, okay, I have to go back. So it just would speed up, or like I would use counter, which would help me I would use different ways. And of course, like you don't move your gaze, because if you move your gaze, where you move your gaze, your prana moves. So you basically try to look at the object, and it's not perfect at the beginning, but with time, these periods of forgetfulness, they just become shorter and shorter and shorter. And it's not shamatha yet. It's not awareness yet. You just try to remember about object. But then when you actually get this habit, get this imprint in your mind, we speak about gom, yeah? Gom, it's like habit, yeah? When you create this habit in your mind, go back to object again and again and again, at some point, it's like your habitual tendencies just give up. And for a second, you might experience something different. Okay, my mind completely concentrated on an object now. I'm really, like, for a very short time, I'm really able to do it. And so you do it again and again and again. And what happens? Because you bring your mind to the object again and again and again, you do not allow your habitual tendencies to run after your habits. So whenever, like, whatever appears in your mind and you bring your mind back to the object, it means like you are not feeding your habits. You are not feeding your whatever appears unconsciously in your mind. And when you don't feed it, it just dies out. That's why we speak, like we give this example during, when we speak shamatha, it's like looking at the glass of water. At the beginning, like water is muddy. Yeah, but when you just let it stand, the mud just goes down and water, at the end, water is clear in a glass. That's what's happening in your mind. When you do not feed, like your habitual tendencies, they just calm down. They don't have food, they don't have your attention. They have nothing like to grasp on, and so they just like by themselves they just disappear. It's also kind of, that's how it is. Whatever appears in mind is impermanent. Whatever concept appears in your mind will never stay there forever. Like we think sometimes that some thoughts, like we have thoughts again and again and again. We think sometimes that some feelings or some emotions continue, like they never disappear from your mind. But in reality, it's just habitual tendencies that have, like, you have tendency to feed that emotion again and again and again. And meditation is a very good means. Actually, you turn, you stop feeding that tendency. And with time, this tendency just dies out or just calms down. And when it calms down, you experience clarity in your mind. So clarity of your mind is a natural quality. We don't have to work in order to accumulate it. We just have to learn how not to feed our karmic habitual tendencies, our usual emotions and thoughts and reactions. And in order not to feed them, we concentrate on the object. And when you experience clarity of mind, you suddenly notice that you have awareness. Because awareness is also natural quality of your mind. You don't have to work in order to cultivate it, to create it. It is there, it is here. And it will appear as soon as your mind is clear. And your mind will be clear when you do not feed your habitual tendencies. And you do not feed your habitual tendencies when you concentrate on the object. So that's awareness we are talking about. And then you're actually using that awareness to look at you, at your reactions and whatever appears in mind. And in shamatha practices, then we use that awareness in order to find complete balance in your mind. So balance in your mind does not appear by itself. So after which was at 4th or 5th or 6th stage, you start to use awareness in order to balance your mind. Like when speaking about, in Buddha's teaching, when it speaks about tuning the string. The tuning of string is possible only when you already have awareness. This is awareness that is tuning your string. So, and we speak about this awareness. This awareness will see when emotion arising, when reaction is arising. And as long as there is awareness, even if emotion is arising, it's already emotion arising is because it's like emotion arising already is habitual tendency, as a result of habitual tendencies. But if there is awareness is present, that new emotion will not create new habitual tendency, will not create new karma. So it does not necessarily mean that when you have awareness, this emotion will never appear. Depending how strong your habitual tendencies, this may appear again and again and again, but it will be losing its strength gradually. So we speak about this awareness. But in terms of daily life, awareness, the first thing, be aware of your reaction. So if you are not able to be in a state of Mahamudra, so then whatever reaction you have, be aware of it. At the beginning, it's hard to be aware of subtle reactions, but it's very easy to be aware of strong emotions. And that's when we start training of learning how to be aware of our habitual tendencies. We speak about emotions, like strong emotions as anger actually is a very good base to learn about your habitual tendencies. So strongest emotion it's easier actually to notice it. And at the beginning, it might be easy to notice only strong emotions, but that's a reaction. And this reaction is possible because there is no awareness. But even though you are not aware of concept itself, how it is arising, you at least place your awareness on reaction. So when you place your awareness on reaction, you don't create new habitual tendency. So right now we can actually practice this way. Like if you want to learn about your habitual tendencies, you have to look at your reactions. Yeah.
I have a question from a Zoom person. When, for example, anger arises in my mind, I recognize it right away, but still it does not make this emotion disappear. What is the antidote to that?
So that's we come to application. Yeah, because so there is like recognition, So inspiration or like a wish to transform it, and you recognize that it brings you suffering. That's actually, so then because you recognize that it brings you suffering, you want to transform it. So then we speak about multitude of skillful means, depending on the level of your practice, depending what you actually practice. Whether you practice Mahamudra, or if you practice Yidam Yoga, or you practice Guru Yoga, or you practice Shamatha, depending on your practice, you have to find what is the best skillful mean for your which would be your antidote. So when we speak about for example, Yidam Yoga. Yidam Yoga is about transformation of your perception into pure perception. Whenever you experience strong emotion, if you can visualize yourself Yidam, but not only visualize yourself, but actually become Yidam, to feel that you became as Yidam, and then out of that state, start to recite mantra, what's happening, the energy which was used for your emotion of anger transforms into energy of mantra. So this is the same energy, anger and mantra of deity. They have the same energy. It just depends if you use, but you really need to concentrate, you really need to become Yidam. And then whenever you are in state of Yidam and you start to visualize that wheel and turn the mantra and concentrate on mantra recitation, at some point you feel you're free from anger, because the transformation takes its place as soon as you concentrate on mantra of Yidam. Of your Yidam. But when you stop reciting mantra, it may be that your emotion comes back because you already have imprint. So that does not mean it's necessary that whenever you apply antidote, your emotion will never come back. It will come back as soon as you forget about awareness. Because you have this habit already. So I have sometimes question also, like somebody who can practice Mahamudra, or like who can be in non-dual state of mind, but then this person comes back to dualistic perception and brings negative perception, negative perception arises, or negative thoughts arising. And there are question appear, how can it happen that person can practice Mahamudra and have negative emotions? Because when person loses awareness, this habitual karmic tendencies gives rise again. So, and we start to act upon them as long as we don't have awareness. So if you practice Yidam Yoga, or if you practice Guru Yoga, for example, I found Guru Yoga very powerful. Like when you have strong negative emotion, you visualize your guru in front of you, and you can just praise to your guru or recite mantra of your guru. And if you have strong connection, and strong connection is based on your strong devotion. The strongest devotion, the strongest connection is with your guru. And so you cultivate love and devotion to your guru and just praise with your own words. Like, I'm suffering from this strong emotion. Please help me to be liberated from this emotion. And I guarantee you, if you sincerely pray, if you have if your heart is really open toward your guru, this emotion will disappear. So again and again, when you have this emotion, praise to your guru. I found Guru Yoga is the most powerful method to all suffering and to all problems in Dharma. Any other questions?
I'm thinking, it's always amazing to me, all the different people in the different, I don't know, like capacities, but attitudes and different really paths for different people. And I know, you know, in my own way, it's so wonderful to hear this coming experientially, because I think it speaks more directly to people. You know, from my own perspective, you know, coming across the teachings, you know, the conceptual teachings, is so, you know, powerful and supportive, because you can learn all those things and then learn, but that's kind of a big path for many people. They don't have that tendency. So, for instance, when you were talking about in shamatha, I'm told, I don't know these languages, but I'm told that the word for, is it mindfulness in Sanskrit, has this root of memory. So you're remembering again and again and again. And for someone, you know, to hear that, like, it was very helpful to me, because it kind of clarified just exactly what you said. That you see that it's like, you know, infused into the very teachings themselves. Because the challenge, I think often about, you know, the story of the Buddha hesitating to teach initially, because you think it's so remarkable to me that you can use these, you know, conceptual teachings to sort of point beyond them. But of course, it's very easy to get stuck anywhere along the line, because that's our habit. So all of these, when you were speaking, I mean, again, even about the prana, I mean, all these different methods that are there, which are really all teaching the same thing, but they're so skillful and so, you know, tools that we can deal with to remove the obstacles that we have or the wrong understanding. What you said about, you know, people getting discouraged with shamatha, that's just so common. People thinking there's something wrong with them, or something, they're doing something wrong or something like that. Because they don't have, you know, they haven't had it explained to them in a way that they can have confidence in enough to, you know, take the risk. I mean, I'm amazed when you see the effort that goes into, say, sports. I mean, it's just amazing if you think about the hours that must have been put in these pro basketball players. And so you look at them and they look like, you know, gods doing these unbelievable things. But how many moments of concentration, how much failure in that. And so shamatha really no different, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And concentration, at least some level of concentration, is absolutely necessary in order to just even remember about what we're doing, what we're applying for. And about discouragement too, like you're right, Frank, because I know that there is tendency among students, especially like people who are new in Buddhism, they don't believe that they can attain something. And so there is tendency to believe that, okay, so there is a Lama because that Lama practiced in past lifetimes, and because this Lama is Tulku, and because, oh, he or she is recognized, so he is different. Yeah, Garinpoche is sitting on a throne, he's a Buddha, and there is such a precipice between me and Garchen Rinpoche, and that's actually a big obstacle. Because Garinpoche never said about anything about this precipice. Like, he actually is talking about opposite things. He's talking like, your mind and my mind is one. It's the same. There is no difference. Like, the only difference, like, for you, you do not recognize it. But there is no distinction. There is no distance between you and me. And so, like, people at the beginning especially, they think like they already kind of create obstacles for themselves, not believing that they can attain the state that Garinpoche is in. So, or like, oh, maybe next life, or maybe like in 7 lives, but not now. So this like absence of belief, it's actually, that's their own obstacles that they create. We speak about obstacles, like, you know, on a Dharma path. What is obstacles on the Dharma path? Dragons that arise and that like this flame, you know, like all that does not allow us to come and take this precious jewel or whatever, you know. But actually, obstacle is first in our disbelief that we can attain it. And it's nonsense, because nature of our mind, this is our nature. this is just like temporarily, this is temporarily confusion. And it's nothing compared to our real nature. And we have proof, like Garchen Rinpoche. And Gar Rinpoche was telling that when he was young, he had lots of problems. He had like had so many strong emotions. And he's very open about it. Like, he was telling, oh, I had this very strong anger. And my father was telling me, you're not Tulku, you're a demon. You know? So he was like, yeah, he gave troubles to his parents, you know? And like, he's telling this to show that he also experienced like these samsaric emotions, you know, and it's like he reached this state of mind, and we all can do it. So first thing we have to remove this doubt of from our mind. And of course there is question, yes, but how can I don't understand. You don't need to understand everything. Actually, that's a point. We don't need to understand everything in order to realize the nature of our mind. Like, there are yogis in Tibet, they never like had like any formal training. They just practice one mantra. They never received like full instructions on sadhana, you know. They just visualize and practice mantra of one deity, you know. It's like you don't have to learn all the details. The biggest thing, like, you have to have trust, and actually Buddhas, when they give teachings, they actually made for example, like, there are like 100 steps to enlightenment. Like, they already made 99 for us. We only have to do one step, you know. And you can actually see from your own experience, like when you do offering of torma or offering of mandala, or you have very strong feeling of devotion, then almost always something happen. Like, you have very easy session, you have like very good meditation. And I remember, like, in my first retreat, I was just during my break, I remember I just made some torma just out of fun. I just wanted to try. And like, I made the torma, I saw some picture. I did not even know how to make it properly, but I was very sincere. And I was making torma and visualizing, this is for you, my guru. This is for like triple jewels. This is like, and I don't even remember whom like this torma was dedicated to. And I said, like, I saw it on picture. I did not know whether I did like it right, like, you know, according, like, you have to do base in a certain way and so forth. But then I had such a cut through in my next session, unbelievable. And like, what happened? What happened? And then at the end, I said, this must be torma. I don't see any other reason, you know. And next day I do torma and I have the same cut through. And like, I believe that's because of my sincere devotion. I did it sincerely. This had such an effect to my mind. So these things, like, and because they're Buddhas, they already did all the job, you know, for us. They gave us all these methods. We only have to have this trust and sincerity. And don't worry about if you don't know something, if you don't understand something. Don't worry about this. Like, Gar Rinpoche says, like, our mind unfolds like a lotus, you know. If we do first step right, sincerely, with devotion, the next step just unfolds. Don't think about entire path. Don't people get, like, you know, get worried and get discouraged because there are so many bhumis. I don't even understand what does it mean. How can I attain them if I don't even understand what they are talking about when they like explaining? I don't understand all the bhumis. I don't really understand that. But, you know, like, I understand, like, from my experience, when you, like, you have this step, like, you know, like, you have to learn what your reaction are. Like, you have to learn how to be aware of your reaction. Don't think about next one. Don't worry about what will I do next. Because what's happening, the all blessing is in your mind already. It is there primordially. That's your natural quality. If you do first step correct, the next step is unfolding. And so forth and so forth. Like, even if you don't understand some teachings, don't worry about this. Like, start practicing where you are. Like, start practicing at that point where your mind is. If you don't know how to concentrate, start learning how to concentrate and use your own skillful means. Like, you're all intelligent people. You know how to read, how to write, how, like, you went to school. So you have, like, you're very intelligent. So you have to think, you have to invent your own skillful means. You have to understand that the Dharma gives you this skillful means which will help you to on a path to liberation. But you add your own skillful means. Like I told before, in order to remember about object, you use your own skillful means. Like, if you are not dissatisfied with time you spend in distraction, okay, what can I do? I can be discouraged and give up, or I can come up with my own methods. Yeah, like you can record like bell sound, and it will sound like every 2 minutes, and every 2 minutes your mind brings your mind back to the object. Or like if you do mantra recitation, like sometimes I use 2 malas. So one mala I recite mantra, and another mala I just count those mantras that I recite, being present, actually remembering what I'm doing. You know, and it's very good. It's very good skill, because you can like recite like million of mantras, and yeah, it's good. It still creates habit in your mind, but you can make your path much like faster. You can do it much faster. Like you realize your rhythm much faster. Like if you do it, so use your own skillful means. Use your imagination. There is no wrong way. Like, so there is outline of paths, there is sadhana, there are all these instructions for concentration, but use your own skillful means in order to keep up with instructions. So if you feel that you cannot practice according to instructions, there is nothing wrong with you. You just have to come up with certain skillful means. You know, like for example, like when there is a neighbor whom you don't like, and every morning you leave your apartment, you meet that neighbor, so that before leaving your apartment, sit down and make this statement for yourself. Whenever I see this person, even if I feel anger, I'm going to visualize Tara in his heart, or my guru in his. And when I'm talking actually to this person, I'm not talking to this person, I'm talking to my guru, which is residing in his heart. And like make this statement, plan this. Like don't think I will be spontaneous, I will practice altruistic motivation when I see this person, like I will be good. No, this does not work like that, because your habitual tendencies kicks in. So you have to make a plan. Like, okay, this is going to be my exercise for the next month. Every day, this is going to be my practice for 1 minute. I see this person, I say this person hello, only one word or whatever, but I'm telling this to my guru. And whatever person thinks of me, it's already, of course, like karma created, you know, but I do not create more karma. And who knows, with time, maybe that person also will, it will help to purify negative karmic tendencies of that person, because you do not feed it to, you know. So, but this we speak, we are recognizing this is negative emotions that I experience towards this person, and this is method which I'm using. I'm using Guru Yoga or Yidam Yoga. So it's very important to be sincere also in methods, to use good methods when you try to conquer your negative emotions. Because, like, for example, if you see that person and you tell yourself, I visualize myself as Dracula and I just kill him, whatever, like when I see, this is not right way, yeah? So you have to be able to distinguish, because you are not trying to destroy that person. You are trying to destroy your negative emotion. You know, you're working with your own mind. Of course, we have tendencies, in negative situation, we have tendencies to turn our attention to another person, and we can tell, oh, because of him or her, I have this negative emotion. We have tendency to blame others for our negative emotions. But the cause is not in others, but in our habitual tendencies. We actually have this tendency to give this new tendency give rise, you know, like, so we have tendency to react to that person in this way. And sometimes we can see few different people in this similar situation who react differently, completely differently. So, and this happens because these different people have different habitual tendencies. That's why they have different reactions. So it's not about situation, it's about our own habitual tendencies and our own karma. And it's very important to recognize it, okay, where do I have problem? If I take like my daily life, like if I have activities that I repeat every day, for example, so where in those activities, like where I can improve myself, or like where I can see strong habitual tendencies. At the beginning, don't think about transformation of your habitual tendencies. Think about recognition. You have to see your habitual tendencies, and you have to recognize how those habitual tendencies bring you suffering. And after that, we can start we can use applications, like we can apply some methods in order to transform those habitual tendencies. And that's, we will be talking about this later. But at the beginning, I just want you to really understand what really habitual tendency is on the base of your own life. Because in Tantra, we practice with our own mind, and tantric practitioner who is not in a cave, like takes whatever appears. Any tantric practitioner takes whatever appears as a path. So we take our daily life as a path, and that's real tantra. Real tantra is not only about practicing yamantaka in some sealed fancy yamantaka retreat, or like meeting some high lamas, or doing some secret practices. Tantra is actually transforming of your mind. If you do not look in your mind, if you do not work with your mind, then no matter what you're doing, you are not practicing Tantra, no matter what kind of practice you do. But if you look at your mind in your reactions, if you transform your reactions, if you transform your mind, then no matter what practice you do, no matter what activity you do, you are practicing Tantra. Because Tantra is about transformation of your own mind. Any questions? So you'll have break, and you can think, if you have time, you can think of few activities which you perform every day. Like don't think about everything, but like, for example, like you can take like 2 or 3 activity that you do every day. Like it can be eating, showering, or like driving to your work, or like shopping, or whatever activity you do every day. Because I just want you, by the end of these teachings, I would like you to develop some means in order to turn those activities in your daily practice. Because we have practices when we sit on a cushion, and it's very important because we isolate our five senses from distraction. And we can one-pointedly concentrate on Yidam Yoga or on Shamatha or Mahamudra. But when we speak about practices in daily activities, transformation of your mind in daily activities, we actually need to use very specific daily activities. And it's better to use those activities that you perform every day. So you can start experimenting and doing, creating practices based on those specific activities. Any questions? Okay, so we have 10 minutes till break. Are you guys doing closing prayers before, or?
We'll just do the Mani mantra and the short dedication until the end tomorrow, a little bit longer tomorrow, final session. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we have we're until 12, yeah?
Yeah.
Until
Until
12.
12.
Mm-hmm. So I can share some of my activities that I was doing or sometimes doing. I was doing in retreat and after retreat that really helped me in my daily life. So first we have to choose something very simple and something that is not about mental work. It should not be some jobs that you perform in office or on computer, something that does not involve thinking. Later maybe, but at the beginning it's very important to start with very simple activities like eating or showering or driving. And so for example, when I'm driving, sometimes I'm doing this exercise. So from one light to another light. So when I'm driving, I just tell myself until the next light, I'm not losing my awareness. So and also you can visualize that next light has Tara sitting, there, or your guru. And actually what happening, you can decide I'm not losing my awareness or my memory until I reach next slide. But if it takes 2 or 3 minutes, you totally can lose it and forget about this. Even if it's half a minute, you can, one moment you can decide and 2-3 seconds you forget about this. But that's why it's very important to choose activity which has actions which repeat. For example, when you're driving, it's light. When you're eating, you're using spoon or fork. So this is something that activity of putting food in mouth. This is short, very short pieces of activity that repeat again and again and again. So because if you, for example, go for a walk and you tell yourself, okay, I'm going for a walk for 1 hour, I'm not going to lose your awareness. So this can be very challenging, yeah. But then, that's a good idea. But then you have to break that activity in very little activities, which would repeat. The same thing what happened when we recite mantra, yeah. When we recite mantra, we go to the beginning of mantra again and again and again, and it's supposed to be a reminder for us. For example, when we do Yamantaka or Vajrakilaya, this is long mantra, yeah? So we can tell ourselves, the beginning of mantra, I'm not losing presence of Yidam. So, but then by the end of mantra, you may lose it. But the beginning of next mantra, you already have this statement for yourself. I will remember it. So you already have this imprint, and you have mala, which helps you to remember, or 2 malas. And so this is you going to the beginning of the cycle when you remind yourself. So whenever you perform, whenever you choose some activity for practice, first you have to make statements that you're going to do this practice at least like 1 month, or not for one day, because if you want to progress, you have to do it for some time, and you have to treat this activity as your regular practice. So when you sit down on a cushion and you practice and you like take it very seriously, the same you have to do with activity, whichever activity you choose as a base for your daily practice. And that's what I said, like the activity must be such that you can divide it in very short pieces, like few seconds, like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Yeah. When you walk in a park, for example, like if you can, if there are trees, so each tree can be this starting point for remembering, for reminding that you have to keep awareness. So, and that's how it works, at least how it worked for me. So and even in long practices in meditations, like when you do yidam yoga, when you do sadhana, use each part of sadhana, like each page as a reminder, which brings your mind to sadhana again and again and again. So that's a very good method to habituate your mind to practice quickly. So if you don't remember it, we still make imprints in your mind. But if you have to if you want to intensify your practice, you have in every practice or in every activity which you choose as a practice, you have to be able to divide it in small pieces which repeat again and again.
So if I'm gonna use brushing my, say I'm gonna use brushing my teeth, you know, you pick up the tube of toothpaste and the toothbrush and yada yada and different size. I mean, so what am I thinking of other than brushing my teeth?
Yeah, we will talk about this. Yeah, we will talk about this next in the next session. But I mean, right now it's like very important. Like if you choose this action of brushing your teeth, so like you can this is action which you can divide into small parts. Yeah, so you pick up your toothpaste, you pick up your toothbrush, you put like toothpaste, and like so. This is all small parts of this action. Yeah, but in terms of actually what we are doing with it, we will be. Yeah, because it's not enough to tell. Just breaks activity in small parts and be aware. This is the same. Brings us the same question, like, and how I'm going to be aware.
Okay.
So there are different methods depending on whatever practice we practice. This is Yidam Yoga or Shamatha or Mahamudra, Vipassana. So, and according to different levels of practice, we can use different methods. And we will talking about this.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you're asking all these questions in advance about awareness, about what am I doing during. Yeah, you just like. You're jumping into it, and it's. I'm very happy that I can. It's resonate, you know. Okay, so.
All right, for those who don't know, page 32 in the prayer book. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. 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 Om Mani Padme
salam.